Hi guys, and welcome back to DevTV, and welcome back to another reaction of this week's episode of Game of Thrones. Now, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 5, I suggest you either click off this video or go and watch it, then come back to this video. So, spoilers have been given you. I've given you a spoiler warning. Now, you can go. Now, for the rest of you that have stayed, here we go. My take on episode 5 on this season was unbelievable. I did suggest that in the previous video that I made about Game of Thrones, that Daenerys would potentially become the Mad Queen. And I kind of picked that up in the vibe of the preview of the last episode, where they kind of showed you her looking out of the window. Her hair looked a bit messy and she looked a bit nutty. And in this episode, man, was it confirmed, because she literally decimated King's Landing. She killed everybody in King's Landing. And speaking of people being killed, this was, I don't know if this is a record this episode, because we lost a hell of a lot of big characters. Now, starting from the top, we lost Varys, who was burned by Drogon for treason, which he was warned about by Daenerys. She said, you tried to do something behind my back, I'm gonna melt your ass with my damn dragon. So she walked through, she came through with that truth and that promise and done it. We also lost the entire Golden Company, I think. That guy who walked around so smug, looked no smug at the start and all that. His ass got melted as well by the dragons, and then, well, not completely, but the Golden Company did. But then Grey Worm, boom, speared him through the back, which was pretty crazy. Also, this is an off-screen death though. Is Euron. I'm assuming he's dead, because Jaime stabbed him with the sword, and his guts and blood was spewing out of his hole. So I'm assuming he died as well. We also lost Qyburn. If you watch it back, the Mountain, he's like, you have to obey your queen, and the Mountain's like, boom, smashed his head off the wall and threw his rest of his body down the goddamn stairwell and smashed whatever's left of his head open on the rock down the bottom. Then we seen the Hound and the Mountain. Now that battle was absolutely incredible. To see the Hound fighting the Mountain after all this time. I mean, they had beef from episode 1, I think, in Game of Thrones, you know, in season 1. So to see that come to a kind of conclusion is just amazing. And the fact that, you know, the Hound was getting his ass whooped, but the Mountain, you know, he was crushing his damn face. I think he lost an eye in the battle, the Hound did. But the way he took him out, it was so poetic. Yeah, because, like, he died in fire. You know, the Hound died in fire. The one way you thought he'd avoid to die at any cost, and he died in the fire. And he runs and tackles the Mountain and his brother, and he takes them through the wall, and they just tumble into the fire, which was quite amazing. So both the Clegane brothers died there as well, which was quite an amazing thing to see as well. And then lastly, we also see Cersei and Jaime. Now, we don't physically see them die, but we're assuming they're underneath the keep, where they keep all the skulls of all the past dragons, at least the Targaryens did. And you see it crumbling and it's crashing down, and they're hugging each other. And at that point, Cersei is actually crying and almost saying, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. The fear of death is consuming her. And we didn't think, she looks like a steely woman, but the fear of death is what makes her, you know, she's so vulnerable in that scene, because she's so scared. And it's so incredible to see, you know, a character that was so epic in this whole season of Game of Thrones, whether you like Cersei or not, to see her story come to an end like that is quite something. But the fact that she died with Jaime in her arms, with their child, unborn child, underneath the keep, it was quite sad, I thought. But I think it was fitting, because I think she had to die, and I think Jaime had to die. All the bad stuff he's done, he had to kind of go. And then the last thing that I don't know how people are perceiving this scene, but at the end, when Arya comes across that white horse, I don't know if Arya's alive or not, because it looks very godly, very, very heavenly. The way the horse turns up, it's white, it's a little bit bloodied in the legs. It looks like this beautiful white horse in all this mad, like, red and crimson chaos. This white horse appears out of nowhere, and she gets on it and she rides off. Now, everyone around her is dead, and it doesn't look like that she should be it doesn't look like she should have survived. It looks like she should be dead, right? So I don't know how that's gonna pan out in the next episode. I think if Arya is dead, Jon is gonna lose his shit, and then he's gonna go after Daenerys and kill her. I think, because that is, you know, he loves his family as much as she loves her heritage and things. Jon loves Arya, and if she's died at the hands of Daenerys, I think Jon might have a really severe reaction to that. So we'll have to wait and see for the next episode. So after all my jibber jabbering about this week's episode, I'm gonna react to the preview of the final episode of Game of Thrones. This could be a tear-jerking moment, folks, so stay tuned. Here we go. How's it gonna go? King's Landing's decimated. Davos and Tyrion and Jon It's just everything is decimated. My god, the final oh, Arya's alive by the looks of it. With the Thraki celebrating. The queen is here. But the queen of what though? Everything's burnt to the ground. Is that it? No way. That was quite short. I'm gonna go back and have a little flick through some of those clips. I want to have a closer look at this. Okay, so here we have Jon and Davos. They're walking through the destruction. You can see all the dead bodies everywhere. Everything is just burnt. Everything's ash. And here's Tyrion. I think he's shocked. He did try to plead with Daenerys to not do what she has done. And yeah, I think he's a little bit upset. He's the only Lannister alive, I think, now, right? So Arya is alive. By the looks of it, Arya looks like she's safe. So thank God for that. I thought she was dead. So that just proves that theory wrong. And so, yeah. But look, she looks a bit angry. Let's see I wonder what she's angry about. Probably nearly burnt to a crisp. The Unsullied are all lined up. I don't know where they're lined up. But I can't tell. That's not snow. That's ash. That's ash there on the floor. Not... She's the Queen of Ashes. What's the point of what she done? Tyrion does not look happy in this screenshot. He looks very upset, doesn't he? He looks like he's ready to start. He looks like he had a rough night. And here we have Daenerys walking out. I mean, I can't tell if that's people right down the bottom or what, but I mean, she's the queen. She is the queen of the Seven Kingdoms, albeit she destroyed King's Landing, and she's the queen of what? Ash? I mean, come on, man. Why did she... I feel like Game of Thrones threw this character under the bus and made her out this big evil, and I think it's unfair on Daenerys. I mean, okay, it makes sense how her throne was challenged by Jon being there, but I think it's a bit over the top. I'm kind of a little bit frustrated about that, I feel. So that's it. That's my reaction to that episode, that preview of Game of Thrones. I am looking forward to the last episode of Game of Thrones. I feel like the fact they gave us a very small snippet of that episode, only 38 seconds, that's the whole preview, means that I feel there's a lot of stuff they can't show us because it's going to be a very in-depth episode. They have to tie up a lot of loose ends, like where's Bronn? You know, he said, you know, we have to know what happens with his story. Is Tyrion going to be punished by Daenerys in any way, shape or form for whatever reason? How is Sansa going to respond to what she's done? Is Sansa, are we going to even see Sansa again? How's Jon going to react? Because during the battle, he was so upset and angry that he tried to hold his soldiers back, but obviously they went for it. And then Grey Worm, he was so aggressive as well, obviously because he lost Miss Sunday. I feel that episode has caused a lot more friction than needed to be than it solves, right? But that's my take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave that big thumbs up, and I'll see you lot in the next video. Peace!